Folks, thanks for joining us. This is Live with the Miami's Community News, and our guest today is Javier Banos.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Nice,
Pleasure being here.
Nice to see you again. So just so in case somebody doesn't know, you're a CPA and a lawyer,
right?
And now a former candidate for the City of Coral Gables Commission.
Correct.
Let's talk about the process from when you said, okay, I'm going to run for this one, right? And then you went down and you filed. What was that like now that you've had a couple of weeks since the election's been over?
So, look, I received a closing interview from the Miami Herald. And the first thing I said when I answered this, I have no regrets. And I tell you, you clearly that it takes away from the family and it takes away from your business and all those things, because there are only too many hours in the day. But I got to meet a bunch of neighbors I wouldn't have been able to meet. I got to walk my entire city twice and really get to understand what makes people tick. And if you like public services, this is part of what you've decided to do with your life. That is an essential part of running for office. I don't have any regrets with regards to all that. I think it was a wonderful experience in that sense. And I loved every minute of it from beginning to end. And even the negative stuff, you have to grow a very thick skin, almost like a chameleon, and you can really it can bother you for more than 24 hours if this is something you're going to do.
So we know that there are chameleons and geckos and some other reptiles are able to actually cut the blood flow to their tails and shake it off, right? It's used as preservation, so in case there's prey and they go and they grab the tail and they can still run away because it looks like this little worm that's back there. And it's interesting because when it grows back, at least on the geckos, it's almost never exactly the same pieces in there.
Well, all experiences in life modify your perspective and shape you as a human being. Look, I am eternally grateful, as I've said before, to every person who gave me their confidence on their vote. I got to tell you, it's overwhelming and humbling to receive over 3,000, whatever it was, 400 votes at the end of the election, and if I had convinced or had managed to convince 176 people, I would be the commissioner today. But that's not really the point. Like the part of the whole idea was to really listen to what the residents wanted and what they were concerned about. And I think Commissioner Anderson did a great job last Tuesday of espousing those very concerns. And I think she will do a great job, and I'm happy to assist her in changing the conversation on the commission, which it's needed. I think you saw the reaction of surprisingly 3 commissioners on the commission. Actually, they have different titles, but anyway, 3 members of the commission give sort of the pushback against her perspective, mansplaining, etc. And I can tell you, yes, no one has a pulse of what the people want, but somebody who received over 5,000 votes in an election in which actually she received as much as almost 2 of those commissioners combined, and when they actually won their office, I think that they should listen to her. I think she has something to add, and I think she does have a real sense of what the people want. And what they do want is a re-examination of how development has happened in the city. I think there's a real concern among the public that they're losing the sense of community and they're losing the sense of what Coral Gables is. And I think the commission will be remiss, and I think will be affected if they don't actually pay attention to those concerns, because they're very much there.
And we know people want to be heard. And I was listening to Keona McGee, County Commissioner, and he does a regular show, not here, but down south. And when he sees people's names come up, this is what he says: "I see you."
Right.
I see you. When I first heard that, I went, "Is he on TV?" And I kept going, "No." That's how he's communicating. I see the letters. I want to he wants to take it to the next step, which is, "I see you. I understand you." Right? We had a gentleman, Matthew, on the other day, who was a mental health advocate, and he wrote a song, and he played the guitar and sang it. It says, "You are not alone." Right. So when we look at this, people want to be heard. They want to know they're not the only ones. They want to know there are other people that they can talk to. So what is it that the voters said about Rhonda? All right, not what they were saying about the other people,
No.
but she got in the 70%.
She received. I mean, she was in a 6-way race, and and look, I think I don't want to take this away from Jose Valdez-Fowley. I think he is a good person. I think he ran a wonderful campaign. I consider him to be a friend. So no derision on him. I'm just I specifically talking about her campaign. I think she really put the time, and as I did, but I think because she had 14 years of being of involvement in the city, of being an advocate, she had the authenticity, okay, the to show up at people's homes and really engage them. And I had the same experience, but I think she had a different one, and she convinced, compared to her opponents. That she was a first person for the job. I mean, she convinced me, and I think now that she's up there in the commission, I think it's our position to or it's a moment to actually go ahead and
when we
support
see
her.
figures like that, Javier, where it was over 70% in a big
Correct.
race, right? A lot of people. She had some connection. People believed in her. This was not an anti-vote for the other people. This is, we think this person is going to do the job.
Absolutely.
Right? So explain, if you could. There's a couple hundred people that you missed, all right, that didn't vote for you. What is it they were looking for that didn't see with you?
I'll tell you. Look, people vote for all sorts of different reasons. You have the voter who's very engaged, who knows all the issues, who understands. There's a voters who sort of votes, but it's a very superficial vote. They may think, that person looks like me, or or I know them because they're somebody's friend. That is the nature of what you do when you expose yourself to the public for them to elect you as their representative. Ultimately, I'm just their neighbor. I'm just somebody who lives across the street from somebody else who voted for me, right? So that is what this is supposed to be. It is about outreach. It's about having a message. It's about getting to and being known in the community. In my particular case, the 176 votes difference was between me and Commissioner Menendez today, who happened to have been a coach and an active member of the community for over 30 years. So it was a challenge, but I made it a very close race because I do believe that I had the right message and I did have the right perspective of what the residents wanted. I just was a new person versus somebody else that didn't know.
So often when we see, whether it's boxing or MMA or wrestling or tennis or golf, so where everybody's sort of friendly, right? But then you're out and you start competing, right, for people's attention or their vote or whatever it is. And sometimes when you start to do that, you realize, gee, the guy on the other side, if you're boxing, and Howard's a hobbyist over there, I was producing the show, and I used to play around with it. Sometimes your toughest punch would come after you got smacked in the face.
Right.
So tell us about one or two of the times that you just got smacked and you said, holy moly, what is going on?
Look, I'll tell you, as I said before, this is not for the faint of heart, okay? You have to understand that people will say unfair things about you. People will say untrue things about you. And it cannot bother you for more than 24 hours. And if you can manage it, okay, don't do anything against the other person for those 24 hours, okay? If there was one moment in which, partly March, I think it is, there was a particular statement that I made that I said, actually against, or maybe February, against Jose Valdez-Fowley, is because I was angry about something he had said. And to this day, I regret it because I do believe that he didn't mean to have said that document, that statement. So look, it is that there was that one instance, the articles in the Herald that came out essentially comparing me, equating me with Joe Carollo, who just a client that I don't work for, and the communications that came at the very end. The attacks on my integrity and on my personality. It really has to be one of the situations where you're very confident and you have an understanding of who you are as a person, And those things is just something somebody else said,
So
and it's just noise. Okay, so and it's very hard to not listen to that noise. You cannot have. I'm a person who sort of I'm not, I don't have a poker face. So whenever it is, if I don't like you, you will know. So you have to have a sense of where you are as a human being to make sure those things don't bother you, because otherwise you're going to have a very, very bad time through a campaign.
so you felt like you got smacked, and there was and then you responded, and it could have been misunderstood. But in that high peak of anxiety, of grief, of competitiveness, of tension, I want this, and I'm going to try to do better. So what did you do all the other times to keep yourself calm enough to get through the, if you will, the next 24 hours where you say, okay, I just need to get through it so I don't do anything stupid, say or do anything stupid?
Well, one of the things they tell you at the beginning of this is find yourself a best friend, okay? And make sure that that best friend is your campaign manager, okay? So look, I had a group of people with 3 people, my wife being one of them, who I related my frustrations and my aspirations to, and who were kind enough and much smarter than me, and my father also, who said, you have to sort of ignore that and look at this other thing, and you really not that. You're a human being. You're subject to frailties. You're subject to your own personalities. And you need to have people around you that sort of can center you if whenever it is you're going off the rails, if you will. So that's what I had. I mean, I had 2 folks who did my estimation was a superb job managing the campaign. And ultimately, you also have to focus on the fact that while you're doing this, it's not about you. Okay, or at least it's not supposed to. And you have moments in which you make it you about you, but the goal here is to try to provide a service for others. Okay, try to be a true representative, to try to modify what you believe to be the right message for the community, and to have an impact that you can be proud of, and your family can be proud of, your children can be proud of. So if that is what your guiding post is, it's easier to center the campaign. If you're not doing it for personal gain, if you're not doing it for personal aggrandizement, if you're not doing it because you have something to prove to your father, your community, whatever. Okay, if you're just doing it because you focus on trying to do something for the benefit of others, I think that is a much better way of approaching the office and approaching the campaign.
So that helps you keep you centered when you realize there's this higher service than somebody calling you.
There's a cause. There's a cause that you're going to.
Before you get onto the future, what are some of the unwritten things that you're not supposed to do during a campaign? Even though they could be legal, but you go, don't go down that rabbit hole, or don't do this. What are some of those things?
I tell you, things I learned. How about this? Negative mailers don't work. Okay, it may work in general in other campaigns. They don't. How about this? They don't work if they're not informative. Okay, if they're just mean. Okay, if they turn people off. Okay, if you're providing, you're carrying a comparison between you and your opponent, and you're giving information to people that is relevant to maybe in that sense, to the extent they're negative, but they don't work. Okay, that's the first thing I would say. Second thing is, find your best friend to be your campaign manager. That would be the second recommendation. I think 3 is you really have to stop listening to the noise. Okay, if you're going to do this in a way that makes sense for you, just do it for you. You can't focus on what the other people are doing. Okay, you can't focus on what your opponents are doing. You're going to have a campaign. You're going to move forward. You're going to, you may react to certain things that they may be happening just because they may require your attention for it. There's a crisis, or there's something, a vote that comes into the commission that you have to make a decision of. But for the most part, you have to run your campaign, have a consistent message, and provide the message that actually ticks with people. If you don't do that, then everything else is. If you listen to what if you're constantly reacting what people are doing, you lost the campaign.
Now Howard, who's over there, we just woke him up, but so he knows, all right, that when you're in the boxing ring and you're doing that, if you're listening to the people outside the ring, you're gone.
Right.
It is just history. All right. right? And you have somebody close, you have your coach, and you have your
Right.
trainer that's, when you go over there with your head all, hey, listen, champ, you're doing it. Just pay attention, do this, this, and this. And with all that noise that goes in our lives every day, it's hard to be able to compartmentalize that, right?
Right.
So let's look to the future. This is already, what month is this? Almost June 2022?
Half of
21?
May. It's at 17th or 18th, but sure, no problem. But,
Well, whatever.
so,
So what does your life look like in the next 12 months?
my life looks at somebody who's kind of, look, I'm going to focus on my family. I think I've missed 6 to 7 months of close family life, so I want to essentially make up for that loss. I think I have to thank my wife more than anything else, who's really kept the family and everybody else going. The business is back on track, and so some of the clients who were kind enough to wait a few extra weeks to get certain things done, those things are being serviced. And we're going to vacation because I think the last year of COVID, grant us some time.
So when are you going?
So we're going to leave for Memorial Day to the beach for a while, and then I'll be going July to Hawaii. So I'll be there for a couple of weeks, and then there'll be a trip at the end of the year to California. So we have a few things planned, and then I still want to continue to be involved. I don't want this to be just a purely political exercise. I think there's a lot to be done. I want to support Rhonda, Commissioner Anderson, in her efforts. I think there's a couple of other members of the commission who I would like to see move some of the issues that I thought were germane and important to the office. And I think there's a place for my voice in the commission to move forward on to try to have an influence and have an impact. So I'll continue to be active. I don't necessarily, some people do this and they get, people don't vote for them, or the majority of people don't vote for them, and they just go away. If that was the hope of many of my opponents, they're sadly mistaken. So,
and I think that's as you pointed, it's important for you, right, to be able to serve, and when you realize that if you don't do it for selfish reasons, you try to get that point because you think that you have something to offer,
yeah.
right, and to be able to be strong enough not to listen to the noise. I know that even somebody that won a lot of votes, some odd percent, has been 30% of the people
right.
voted specifically against her, right. and there are always going to be detractors, right? Mm-hmm. So my hat's off to you and to your family for allowing you that opportunity to spend the time there. I hope you reconnect and stay close to your family. And we wish you lots of good luck. And we're going to be seeing you on your new show up here.
Absolutely. We'll continue to do the shows here. Look, once again, I do think it was one of the most wonderful experiences of my life. I generally like meeting people, and I generally have a sense of being able to have an impact for them. And I think that came across. I think a lot of folks appreciated that because if you treat people with derision and with disdain, and if you don't respect them, I think we are seeing some of that in the commission today, in not only for their values but also because of just the way you treat them. I think you will find out that you will be soon out of office.
So, would you say that you've grown a lot with this experience?
Oh, absolutely,
a lot.
Yes,
not a little, a bunch.
A lot. Look, it takes. What is the Jewish word? Chutzpah? Whatever. Chutzpah.
Oh, my wife would be so proud of me that I knew that word. Thank you, Susan, and all the rabbis that I know.
Right, to sort of expose yourself to this, right? But also, you have to be humbled by the experience because you are taught a great deal about what it is like to have a general understanding of representing others. Okay, the awesome responsibility that entails, and what it is required in order to get there. It's no small task. It is a great deal to ask of any one human being, and you really have to do it, and their family, and you really have to do it for the right reasons. I mean, some people do it for the wrong reasons, and they still get elected. But that's just part of what happens. That's part of the game. That's part of the structure.
Okay. And we're going to wrap it up. And I'd like to end with you talking for 45 seconds to somebody that's considering running for a young person that wants to be involved in getting elected and that process. So would you talk to them? Oh, this camera right here.
Sure. Well, to the prospective candidate, look, it is something that I think you should, if you have a knack for it, that you should definitely do. But make sure that you have the right support. Make sure you have the right personal fortitude to get you through the exercise. Make sure you have the financial support of others that can allow you to have the campaign that you can be proud of. And make sure you have a plan from beginning to end how everything is going to work. You don't have that, you don't, you're not running a good campaign. So listen to the public. Make sure you knock on every door twice. Make sure you let people speak and to listen to what they have to say. I think that would serve you well if you want to go ahead and run for office.
Javier Banos, thank you. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael.
And,
appreciate it.
Folks, thank you. And Howard, thank you for producing the show. Folks, again, this is Live with Miami Community News, and our guest today, Javier Banos. Folks, have a good day.
Take
Bye.
care.